Hello, it's me, Goose. Well, I guess it's not going to be a surprise to anybody who's been on Twitter long enough, but Concord is now dead. It's going to be dead. Well, it's going to be dead. The life support plug is being yanked out of it on September 6th, which is like what this week, I believe, next week. It's coming up pretty soon. Well, what can we say about Concord that has not already been said? I will start off by saying that this is not going to be a rant about me going in deep diving about Concord and all the things that made the game. No, no, no. If you're looking for something like that, Nerd Slayer will probably have a great video about this probably sooner than we probably expect. Um, my is going to be an overall thought about Concord. I should know that I have not played Concord. I'll never play Concord, and that's why I think no one ever will play Concord. But I will just say that this is from a completely outsider's perspective. These are just my opinions, and take it whatever you want to take with it. Essentially, Concord is now Sony's biggest failure ever. Officially, it is their official biggest failure. And when you think about all of Sony's failings, like as a whole for a PlayStation brand, you think about the PSP, which wasn't really a failure, but it didn't exactly set the world on fire. The Vita, same thing. PlayStation Move, the early stages of the PS3, that kind of things. Where just been bombs. But this Concord is such a unique failure for Sony because I want to say removing Fire Walk and the hard work and making this game out of it. This is the failure that Sony needed. Walk with me, walk with me, walk with me. Let's first start by talking about live service games and alike have been unpopular for a while now. We've had several bombs already. We've had, Anthem being one of the biggest, was the biggest. Now it's not second biggest to Concord, where their games were just trying to court an audience that just was not there. And live service, for the most part, is a type of game that cannot flourish anymore. It's oversaturated. Gamers are tired of it. They're tired of being nickel and dime out of paying for a game. And live service is a continuing trend of that. If you're not part of the big category of games that have been part of live service, like Overwatch or Valorant or anything else like that, or Fortnite, you're not going to make it. You're just not going to make it. And Concord, for some unexplainable reason, was trying to cross that line into making that successful category. And they just were not going to do that. They weren't. It was not. And I think Sony knew that for years in Concord's making, because you can look at something like Concord and obviously say, this was going to be a failure from jump. This was a breach birth. This was this is the breach birth imply it lives. This is like a stoned baby. Okay. I know, morbid thing to use as a description here. There was no way in hell that this game would have been a success. Much like Doctor Strange and looking at the 14 million possibilities, there's no single possibility that Concord would have succeeded. It just wouldn't. The factors for it failing were too high. And I know you're going to have a bunch of gamer chuds out there talking about, because it's got diversity. They got blue hairs and they got, black people and, white. No. I need to stress this out for the gamer chuds out there. You have yet to explain Baldur's Gate's free success as being the most highly rated, most successful, highest critically rated game of all time. And that is a wildly diverse game. So unless you were able to explain that, you can't use DEI as an excuse. There are plenty of live service games with characters that range in all body types. Overwatch is one of them. Valorant is one of them. Apex Legends is one of them. DEI is not the reason why Concord failed. It's not. I know you want to say it is, but it's not. The reason why Concord failed is because it was a game that was 8 years out of date. That is it. That is the only reason why it failed. It is a game that appealed to no one. There was nothing in Concord that made it have an identity. There was nothing in Concord that made it have an appeal that said, this is a game you must go and play now. Helldivers, we'll use Helldivers as an example, is a game that just is so wildly beyond parody that you have to join and play. You have to be part of this Starship Troopers-esque game about killing bugs on planet and watching your friends get killed by nukes and everything else like that. And you are actively engaging in stupid, pro-America, pro-Earth, just you're in on the joke. Some people were in on the joke. Some people, gamer chuds, were not in on the joke, and you just gotta pity them. Concord doesn't have that appeal. Concord didn't have good word of mouth. Concord didn't have a lot of faith behind it. It was doomed the minute it dropped its trailer at the Sony PlayStation State of Play. It was doomed. And we can sit here and talk about the designs being trash. We can sit there and talk about, how there was no excitement for it. Well, ultimately, I want to extend my condolences, essentially, to the people at Firewalk Studios. I said this before. Nobody sets out to make a bad game. I don't care what you think. Nobody sets out to spend 8 years of their life, 8 years of their talent, 8 years of different opportunities they could have taken, $200 million into making a terrible game. No one does that. I'm sure at some point Concord was going to be envisioned to be a mega successful game. And through time and mismanagement and failures of leadership, we got what we got in Concord now. And that should not be put on the backs of the people who worked at Firewalk. They did their job. They worked on the game. They are obviously very talented at what they do, but there were circumstances that were beyond their control that made Concord fail utterly. And I squarely put the blame on Sony. I squarely put the blame on the higher ups at Firewalk, the leadership at Firewalk, the investors at Firewalk. I put that blame on them. I don't put it on the people who helped make Firewalk into a game, because they were doing their job. They're doing their job. Sony, Jim Ryan, the leadership at Firewalk, all of those motherfuckers knew. And I refuse, unless Jason Schreier comes out later on, which I hope he does, with a deep dive on this. I fully believe that there was nonstop talks for years from people who worked on Concord, who were saying, this is not going to track well. This is not going to work well. We should tweak this up. And somebody somewhere in Concord or at Firewalk who was envisioning what they want this game to be was like, this is what I want because this is what the investors want. This is what the focus groups want. And we're doing it like this. I bottom dollar, I bet there was somebody that was doing that. And so what are the lessons we can learn here from the catastrophic failure for it? I think, and I highly doubt Sony's going to take this to heart, because Sony is, if anything, but arrogant. I would hope this will be a wake-up call for Sony. If you have been a Sony PlayStation fan for as long as I have, you know that Sony is listen, they don't like learning. They are stubborn to a fault for a lot of fucking things. But the amount of embarrassment that Concord mustered up for the PlayStation brand, everyone's putting their chips on for Astrobot to save PlayStation's reputation at this point. And that's not fair to the team Asobi and Astrobot. Astrobot is going to be a cute, fun game that I hope everybody who has a PlayStation runs out and buys and supports, because it looked like a fun little game, and the demo for it was really fun on the PlayStation when it first came out. But that should not be Team Asobi or Astrobot's job. They're just making a game. They're not here to save Sony from the absolute failure that was Concord. They're just making a fucking game. And if you really truly do care about making games like Astrobot, more platforming fun games like Astrobot, your ass better be playing that game. You better pre-order it. You better buy whatever edition it is. You better turn up and show up and play the game. And don't just talk out your ass on Twitter for easy clout points. Concord's failures is on the leadership. It's on Sony for their arrogance in thinking that something that looked like Concord in a market that's oversaturated like live service will be any kind of success. I mean, they even put Concord in the secret level animated series that's supposed to be coming out soon. That's how arrogant Sony was, thinking this game was going to be a success. And you can't make something iconic. You can't. You can't do that. Iconic is something that happens organically. It happens over time. It happens by word of mouth. It happens by love and devotion. You don't get a Cloud Strife. You can't just make a Cloud Strife. Okay. You can't just make a Sephiroth. These are characters and designs and motifs that had decades of support and popularity behind them. And Sony looked like they were trying to fast track that with Concord. And that's just not how it works. So yeah, that's it. That's my really brief, not professional overview on Concord. Again, I send my condolences, and I know it sounds over dramatic, but I do, to the people at Firewalk, because this is not fair to them. It really isn't. There are a bunch of talented people that worked on this game and that probably did want this game to succeed. And now they probably are in a position where they might not have a job, and that sucks. And if you're congratulating these people losing their jobs because the game sucks, fuck you. Fuck you. They didn't have much of a say in designing matters for this game. They were doing their job, and they probably did make the same kind of things that happened with Redfall, where they were telling people, hey, this is not a game we want to work on. And leadership failed them. So don't harass. Don't harass the development staff. Don't harass people. That's not cool. Don't be an asshole. So, I don't know, man. It just sucks overall. But we'll find out as the weeks progress about what games, about what happened with Concord and what happened with Firewalk. So there's going to be more happening. So keep your eyes glued on Twitter and see what falls out. My name is Goose. I'm exhausted. Drink water. I'll see you guys later. Bye.